Monday. Today, how do you get the feeling that you're in control with every person you meet? How can you develop the feeling that you're in control every person with which you engage? Now, we're through with the pink book. So what we need to do, what we know we need to do, is to have a way to persuade every person. Right? So, thank you, Jim Cecil, for this idea. When you need a friend, it's too late to make one. When you need a friend, it's too late to make one. So, make it 60-40 with every person you meet. Figure out how to serve another person whether you feel like it or not. When you do that, what happens? More people come into your life. You will develop a very positive filter. You'll filter in the good people, and you're filtered out all the takers. And when you do that, you will live a more purposeful life, Mr. Board. So let's start today with a little quiz. You have 2 little kids?
Oh, no. Those are not.
Oh, those aren't yours. Oh, he's married. He's got 2 little girls with him on his your LinkedIn site?
Yeah.
You're confusing your listeners, your watchers. Wow, Mr. Crow is quite a fabulous guy. He's going to college full-time. He's a full-time dad. Who needs more time? Pass them up.
Bless you.
Took some quotes right out of the book this time. That's it. You go against your intuition.
I changed the answer 3 times
So where was your intuition?
in the wrong answer.
It was.
Well, I don't know. I changed, I had it and I changed it and I changed it back because I thought first instinct. No, first question. Yeah.
What are the 2 lessons we're supposed to learn from the story about placing stickers on Matutus in an effort to motivate its drivers to drive more responsibly? Mr. Graves, what did you learn from that little vignette about the Matutus, stickers on the Matutus?
Just speaking up and doing the right thing will influence others to do the right thing, really.
So, would your answer be stand up and speak up?
Well, I would do that, yes.
But is that the answer?
No.
That's not the answer. Anyone want to defend that one? Stand up and speak up.
Doesn't it say it like that? Yes, it does.
Probably does. Speak your mind and people will listen. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Oh, I remember that. I remember reading that from Teddy Roosevelt. Raise your voice and stand your ground. Or, make it personal and make it purposeful. So explain to us, sis, what that is and why that's the best answer.
That's the best answer because after the research, they went back and saw the difference it made. And the people who said something were like 50% more likely to survive. Is that right? Something like that.
But talk about the 2 principles here.
Oh.
Personal and purposeful. Why that's the best answer rather than speak your mind and stand firm. In terms of persuasion,
Because it validates your opinion, I guess, more so than just standing up and speaking for what you believe in.
it validates. It validates your opinion. What's it?
Your argument? Or your opinion?
Making it personal?
Yeah, and
So help us understand why it is that if you're going to persuade someone, you should make it personal and purposeful.
you make it personal so it's relatable. And then you make
Relatable.
it...
What's that mean?
So the person can understand where you're coming from?
Oh, so if you make it personal, they'll listen.
Right.
And they'll take it as if it's personal. Is that persuasive? Ms. Sage? You're personal with someone? Yeah. Okay, now purposeful.
If you prove that it has a purpose, they're more likely to
It has a purpose. What's it?
whatever you want them to do, the action.
That the action that you want them to take has a purpose? To whom? For whom?
Everyone involved. Well, especially like in sales, you have to make it benefit both parties.
Right.
You have to make it,
So if you're the persuader and they're the persuadee, right? Take this principle and relate it now to sales. Personal, purposeful? Related to you.
Okay, in my situation, I would figure out what the problem is, ask them what they think they're looking for, and then give them a limited option of what could fix that problem. But I would, personally, I would give them what I think is the best option. So that way it benefits them, but it's benefits sales for me.
Okay, now I heard personal. How about purposeful? Where's that come from?
It solves the problem.
It solves their problem,
Right.
right? It meets their need.
Right.
It's personal and it's purposeful. It's just another way of saying it's not about you, it's about them. Any questions? What action below did Daniel Pink say moved radiologists to take a more personal interest in their patients when they read their CT scans? Radiologists got access to the patient's medical records, which helped them understand why the CT scan was being prescribed. They got access to the medical records, they could read about them, and they could care about them. Mr. Baston? Is that true?
No. Yes, it is true. Yeah.
That it would motivate someone to look at their CT scan more in depth if they understood the condition for which the person was getting the scan.
Correct. They looked over it.
Is he saying the same thing both ways? You're trying to have this both ways. Like I agree, but no.
It's not. I don't think it's the answer. That's
Why?
what I'm asking. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, did they not put a picture with the radiologist to the patient?
So it was the connection. It was the visual connection with the person. It wasn't understanding the person's condition, because a radiologist has to go click. He has to scan lots of them.
And if they know that they're seeing a picture of it's more personal, they feel like they're going into the doctor's office to speak directly to him rather than this.
So what you're saying is that a smiling photograph of the radiologist was placed on the CT scan. No. That didn't confuse you. Radiologists dictated their findings, which were transcribed into an email and then sent directly to patients. Good idea, Ms. Allen? Yeah. Did that help the radiologist do the best job of scanning, of analyzing the CT? No. But did a photograph of the patient was embedded in the CT scan? Got it. Number 3. Which of the following is the best answer that explains why more and more business owners are asking their customers to call their personal cell phones if they are not satisfied with their products or services? Best one. Business is getting more and more competitive, and this is a great new marketing appeal. Mr. Tingle.
Yes, business is getting more competitive, but no, I do not think that is the best option out of all of the answers.
Okay? You sure? Who would disagree? All right. This approach enables the owner to secure more business referrals. People will call him, you can ask them, because they're happy or they're unhappy, you can get referrals from them. Is that a good thing to do? Not bad, not bad. But not the answer. This approach enables the owner to learn firsthand how to improve the quality of his products or services. Ms. Decker.
I think that's one of the reasons,
Why?
because it's true,
It's true. Elaborate. You went a whole class, a couple classes ago, with no non-words. Congratulations. Ms. Decker is going to remind us.
Can you repeat the question?
This approach enables the owner to learn firsthand how to improve the quality of his products or services.
Yes, because instead of hearing through the grapevine the owner, seller, whoever's in charge is hearing it firsthand, and that's the best way.
Why don't all business owners put their cell phones on their cars and say, please call me?
Because in my situation, I work for a corporate company. Corporate companies don't really care.
Why shouldn't your manager then, on the store, put that, call me if you're dissatisfied?
Because
myself.
if there's a bad, reputation, thank you. If there's a bad reputation for the company's gonna get the backlash, not the manager. I think a lot of managers.
My question is, why doesn't your manager on the storefront say, if you're dissatisfied for any reason, call my cell?
Because they won't.
You got a Jerry Dollar for the other one. Your explanation was good.
Thank you. But they won't get the recognition, I guess, from,
Oh, their feelings might get hurt?
well, I just mean, like for a corporate company, from a customer standpoint, if someone offers you their phone number, it's not gonna be necessarily personal, they're gonna be like the manager from wherever. You see
No,
what I'm
your
saying?
store manager. Why wouldn't your store manager put, as someone was leaving or entering, if you're dissatisfied for any reason, call me, I'm the manager? If you were the store manager, would you do that?
Probably. Maybe.
It's like, I'll try, yeah.
It depends.
Sounds like a good idea, but
It depends on the company.
why would that be a bad idea?
You get a lot of calls.
What would you learn from those calls?
It depends on the color.
No. What would you learn from those calls?
Well, how customers feel about your
And what if
service.
they didn't like your service?
You figure out ways to fix it.
Then you fixed it, and then if there are no more calls, what happens?
You get rid of it.
No, it means people are happy. Then you get some calls like, whoa, I really like your store. You get the positives versus the negatives, right? You increase the positives, reduce the negatives, but you still want to hear the negatives. Listen, some people are not going to like what you do for their reason. Remember, perception is reality. May not be the truth. But you want to hear all of them, right? The next time you're appointed as manager, Mr. Perry, what will you do?
Don't know.
If you want to succeed as a manager, how do you get the feedback to know how to improve? Put your cell phone on the door, put it on a card. If you're unhappy any reason, call my cell. You have to tell your significant other that this is going to happen for a while. It's just the feedback that you're going to get. What a brilliant way to learn what's going wrong if you're the manager. Right? It's brilliant. How many managers do it? Almost none.
Right.
So why? High eyes. People criticizing me, making me feel bad. Mr. Dunn.
For most corporate companies, there's a customer service area that people call instead, and it's brought from the top. It's a kind of a drop down. So managers.
All that does, Mr.
Yeah.
Dunn, is it shields the CEO from knowing.
Right.
CEOs need to know. That's why good CEOs will go down and work customer service for an afternoon. Listen to what's going on.
That's what I was trying to explain about like corporate companies. Lots of times managers won't put their personal information out there because there is a department that is, you're supposed to represent that relation, you know what I mean?
But what are we saying here? What's the right thing to do?
Right.
Think.
Oh, I was just gonna ask a question. Do you think do you think small business owners are more likely to do something like that because they have more invested in the company and they have a greater sense of purpose because they built it from the ground up? So do you think that's why small business owners are more likely to do that, or?
Small business owners who are likely to grow are the ones who do that more often. 20% of the businesses, now listen, 20% of the businesses make 80% of the profit. Try to see why? Question?
Was it businesses or salespeople?
Yes, 80-20 works almost everywhere. It is the statistical representation. If you're going to make any assumption, assume 80-20. It might be 90-10, it might be 70-30, but it's going to be around there. Alfredo Pareto, a 19th century Italian statistician, figured this out. That's why we call it the Pareto principle. 80-20. Imagine that. 80% of the companies make 20% of the profit. So most companies don't make money? Uh-huh. Some companies make it in boatloads. Google, Apple, make it in boatloads. Apple, they raised the price for iPhone 6, right? They raised the price. Say to the rest of the world. Ours is better. Is it better? Well, I don't know. I don't know, but they raised the price and people are standing in lines. You know what they're doing? They're buying 10 and they're shipping them to Russia. You know why? Because Russia won't get their shipment till next week. And the Russians want it now. They're willing to pay 2 or 3 times the price now. Is Apple's better? What's in your pocket? Well, somebody else has got that. What's in your wallet? They can't take that. Already got that. Okay, so this principle. Yes, sir, Mr. Shannon.
So for this phone number tactic, does that get
Okay.
less effective as the company gets bigger, or does it remain effective no matter how large or small the company is?
A company is the purpose of a company. Let me say this correctly. The character of a company is simply the length and breadth of the shadow of its CEO. If the CEO decides that the buck stops with her, buck stops with everybody. If you are going to turn around a company, you better get down at the base level and find out why customers are dissatisfied. If you can't satisfy your customers, will they send you their money? No, you better find out. Somebody else had a question.
I was just going to say that Jeff Bezos at Amazon.com, he has a personal email that anyone can talk to him about, and that's open 24/7. And he reads some of those emails and sends a direct line to each department that's dissatisfied, and in 24 hours it has to be fixed or else they're fired.
See, now Bezos, is it Bezos or Bezos?
I think it's Bezos.
Bezos, okay, Bezos. Amazon is just, are they making a profit yet? Just barely. And the market cap of the company is, stock price, I don't know what market cap is, I don't know, 100 billion? It's gigantic. How many have an Amazon Prime account? I do. I use it all the time. And the rest of you will at some point when they start delivering things right to you where you are, because they'll know where you are, and they'll just have a little drone that'll just drop this magazine to you where you are. I mean, if that's what you want. The ultimate in customer service is delivering it to you where you want it, when you want it, right? How could it be better? So, this idea, put your cell phone, take personal responsibility for how people feel about your product or service, and then do something about it. This is the secret to fortunes. To your fortune. This approach, okay, so the number one we know is, this approach enables the owner to learn firsthand how to improve the quality of his products or services. We still have D though. This approach conveys to all customers that there's a real person behind the product or service who genuinely cares about whether his customers are happy. It's not a one-way street. The cars go both ways. It conveys an image. And in the book, it even said that, 5 calls were positive and 2 calls were negative, right? And then, of course, Daniel Pink published his number, and he got called like crazy because people wanted to figure out there was a real guy behind the call, and probably he had to change his number because Pink sold 1 million books. And Pink then said, please don't call the number. Right. All right. The answer is C and D are equally important. Question E. Which of the statements below is the most important principle that explains the improved results in the car sharing, recycling, and call center examples? A. People who care about others tend to outperform those who think principally about themselves. True or false? Ms. Carpenter. Is that true?
True.
Does it say people who care, make sure I get it right. People who care about others tend to outperform. What if you don't feel like caring about somebody else? Mr. Odell.
What if you feel like you don't?
What if you don't feel like caring about somebody else? I'll do it for you, but I'm not doing it for you.
Just don't put yourself into it. Like, you don't put that much effort into it.
So what happens?
You're not successful.
You're not as successful. Well, what if your social drive, your drive of helping others is in the basement? And you just don't care about others. Would you be a terrible salesman? Should we be driven by our emotions or by what we think about? Should we allow ourselves to be motivated by what stimulates us? Or should we pause when that stimulus comes in and then think, is taking this action in alignment with where I'm headed or not? Regardless of where the stimulus comes from, Mr. McCauley.
You might not like the customer, and so if you can pause and register that and think about the big picture right now, I might not care too much, but I care about this sale. I care about the big picture of making the money. So in the long run, it makes it worth it.
If you think through what's the best action, even though I don't feel like it or not. If your actions are a product of how you feel, you act instinctively just like every known entity other than human beings. Now listen, we are motivated by that caveman, the emotions that flow in that caveman brain. They're right there. That's what caused us to survive. But does it cause us to thrive? People should focus their efforts to improve another's life and in turn, to improve the world. Salespeople should focus their efforts to improve another's life and in turn improve the world. What does this mean, Mr. Boyd? It is important, I will say it up there. Salespeople should focus their efforts to improve another's life and in turn to improve the world. It's like a win-win situation. In what way?
Everybody wins.
So, All salespeople should try to figure out how to improve the lot of the life of the customer. And if you're really successful, that action will actually improve the world. Now, you say, oh, dearie, come on. Are you telling me in my store that if I help someone who has a corn on her toe choose a shoe that won't hurt her foot, that would improve the world?
It would prefer world.
There's an old story. Fellow went down to the seashore, and you know the story? Oh yeah, you know what's coming. Went down to the seashore one day just to enjoy the breeze, and he watched a guy down on the beach, and he watched him, and the guy was throwing something into the ocean. So he went down to look, and the fellow was picking up starfish and throwing them in the ocean. They were all over the place. Watched him for a couple hours. He kept throwing the starfish into the ocean. He walked up to him and he said, sir, he said, I'm a little confused. He said, it's a beautiful day out here, and you're sweating profusely. And all you're doing is throwing these starfish out in the ocean. Why do you do it? He said, well, he said, because it'll help the starfish. He said, but you can't help all the starfish. He said, I'm not trying to help all the starfish. Just this one right here. Oh. So maybe what we ought to be doing to improve the world at each little step of the time, every little step, is just to apply 60-40, right? We talked about 60-40. 60-40. Just apply 60-40 as I go through my daily life. Make that a habit. Maybe Pink's right. Getting personal with others motivates them to higher levels. True or false? Ms. White. Getting personal. Am I talking too fast? Are you listening too slow? Oh, it's Monday. Yeah, on Mondays, you know, I don't start fast. True? Well, if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. Getting personal with others motivates them to higher levels. Merely discussing how to relate to others more effectively in one realm move people to behave differently in the second realm. What's this about? Miss... I'm trying to think. This is Yang.
This is.
Yeah, that's right. Yang and Wang. Miss Wang. Miss Wang. Yes. Merely discussing how to relate to others more effectively in one realm move people to behave differently in a second realm. How is that related to in the book? Remember? And you?
I think I choose the E, so I think it's true, but I cannot say.
So helper, someone help her. What's this about in the book?
As far as the book goes, it uses the recycling example where they read or did the questionnaire that had a positive effect, and so then when they had the option of throwing away or recycling, they chose to recycle.
Right.
Those that had the helping others or self-transcending kind of option in the first.
So if you can help someone improve in one realm, they will improve themselves in another. So if you improve someone's life, existence, selling them shoes and relieve the corn, then they'll have a better attitude when they walk out and they'll help someone else. This is the whole movie Pay It Forward, right? Yeah, it's true. It's a marvelous movie. It's true. I told you about Jack Marquis, didn't I, my friend? That's how it got me. 1984. Went to graduate school at Vanderbilt. went down to, on our first summer, our first week, down to Lake Arrowhead. They bring us together. I hadn't been in school for 10 years, and so this is to try to get you back into learning again. So I drove down, about 5 hours, got out of my car, and I was in the back of my Explorer pulling out my bags, and this guy bounded down off the steps. He says, "Hey," he says, "my name's Jack Marquis." I said, "Jack Marquis, nice to meet you." He grabbed my bags, and I said, "Hey, stop, those are my bags." He said, "Yeah, I know. I'll bring them up for you." Wait, stop, don't. Oh, wow, that was nice. And then, for a week, we were roommates. We became best friends. All week long, he was looking to help me. Now, sometimes that can be a pain in the butt. Okay, you can do it too much. But Jack got me. When I left that week, I said, you know what? I'm going to apply that. That felt so good. Whether I feel like it or not, helping others, doing the 60-40 is the right thing to do. Helps improve them and potentially to improve the world. Answer is E. Any questions? Which one of the following statements does not explain why servant selling is becoming the essence of moving others in the work world today? A. Those who move others aren't manipulators, but servants. True or false? Mr. Demuth. Those who move others aren't manipulators, but servants. What's this mean?
Because every time you move somebody, it should be a benefit to them. So if you are moving them, you're helping them being a servant.
And when you help them, how do you get rewarded?
They help you.
What if they don't? Can you control that? Mm-mm. This is one thing you should have faith about. If you're apathetic about this, you can change the way you think. Are there people who will take advantage of you? Yep. And they should have relationships with somebody else. Not me. Do you have some control over that, Ms. Decker? And when you extend the 60-40, when you do 60 for someone else and you don't get it back, then you have a decision to make. You can decide whether or not to engage or not. Should that person's response make you feel bad, Ms. Gartes?
Their response, if they're not giving anything, would it or should it?
Should it?
It shouldn't.
Does it? Do we have control over that? New thought.
I would argue that that answer is false.
Okay.
Because I think that there has been instances where someone has been moved, but the seller has manipulated the situation. And I do agree that to move others, the best option is to serve them, but that answer says to move others, you have to serve them.
Oh, no, that's not a necessary and sufficient condition. Can manipulators get people to move?
Yes.
The second time? Third time?
Possibly.
Fourth time? For a lifetime? Oh yeah, manipulators can go from town to town to town to town to town. Oh yeah, you don't have to do this. You can just keep moving.
But doesn't the answer say, in order to move other, can you read it one more time, please?
Sure. Those who move others aren't manipulators, but servants. Oh,
Let's see.
you're right. It could be those who move others better. Thank you.
So they're just kind of confusing.
Thank you.
So is that the answer?
No.
Can it be accepted as
Because movers, some movers are manipulated.
Yeah, I was thinking of manipulators.
It's not like all.
Those who move others aren't manipulators.
Relate it back to the question. You say the question.
Which one of the following statements does not explain why servant selling is becoming the essence in moving others in the work world today?
What explanation does that offer?
Yeah.
But that explains it. Those who move others aren't manipulators, but servants.
Those people who are movers are in some instances manipulators.
Actually, I'm going to give you guys credit for this because you did improve my answer. Now, I wouldn't say it's not, the answer wasn't wrong, but it's better. So, and both of you get a dairy dog. Okay, thank you. It's actually the wrong incentive because now the rest of you will start trying to defend every answer. I'll take that on. So for both of you, okay, anybody who had A gets the right answer. That's it. If you have A or E, I'll accept both. Norman Hall, the last floor brush salesman, realized his work was better when he served first and sold next. I've said this over and over and over this morning. The answer is yes. The successful seller must feel some commitment that his product offers mankind as much altruistic benefit as it yields the seller in money. Is that true? See, Pink is taking his fist right in the incentive-based commission system that drives compensation in America. As a matter of fact, he has about a 20-minute presentation as a TED Talk. It gives a powerful argument against a commission-based system. I like the idea, and it may be an idea whose time has not yet come, but at least it's an idea. And I like the idea from the fact that what salespeople ought to do is think, is apply, as I'm teaching you, apply the tools, apply the skills in persuading another person. But do it in a way that enables them to benefit, and as a consequence, you benefit. When you do it in that way, you can also say, if that person is better off, then by definition, the world is a little bit better off. And when you do that, Ms. Martinez, when you do that, how do you feel? Better. Remember the second principle of Pink's ABCs? Buoyancy. You have to keep yourself up all the time. You have to be in charge of keeping yourself buoyant. So if you see yourself in a selling position, benefiting other people and benefiting the world, then you can get up every morning and get fired up. What if your boss says, I don't give a GD about that, I want you to get out and get more sales? You can say, one of these days I'm going to have your spot. But right now, I'm not listening to you, I'm listening to me. That doesn't mean you don't listen to him on other things. It just means that if you want to persuade, how do you get in control of persuading another person? That's very helpful. What's the lesson in this chapter? How do you get control of the situation? How do you get control of you? You do. See, you help them. You do the 60-40. You put something in. Actual example. With one of my former students, we're creating a new company in Louisville, a new financial services firm. called me this morning, and the firm helping us do our website, they agreed to help us create a logo, and the logo would embed on the website. They sent us a bill for an extra $1,000 because the designer put extra time in to make sure that our logo was the right logo, and said, now you owe us an additional $1,000. Is that the right way to do it? What should he have done? Exactly. But the best thing is, we put extra time in on this because your website deserved it. We now understand what you want to do. We put more time in, and we're not charging you. What does that say? That's the 60-40. You find someone, a client who's 60-40, and they go, ooh, this is what I'm looking for. What do they do as a consequence? Mr. Shannon?
Well, if they,
What's a satisfied customer do?
they're going to refer the website to other people.
This is how it works. Why do you think Facebook has a $100 billion market value? Because that's what you're doing all the time. You're putting information out there that's truthful. If it's not truthful, it gets unliked. Facebook guy, but you know, you can get rid of bad news. Right. If the person you're selling to agrees to buy, will his or her life improve? Yes. All the statements above provide clear explanations. Yes, sir, Mr. Shannon.
So maybe it might be my turn. Then I feel like D is neither a statement nor an explanation because it's a question that doesn't explain anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Same reason.
Because the question asks for statements that explain, but that's the question and does not explain. It raises more
As a principal.
issues.
Sorry.
I kind of thought it was a trick question.
No. You thought it was a trick question?
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, this one's not a statement.
So how many times have I tricked you in a question?
If you trick us all the time, then it wouldn't be a trick.
Well, maybe that's bad. How often do I dig and make you really understand something? That's what I try to do. And I'll ask you something several different ways so that to test whether or not you really know something. But trick. You're right, it is a question. I'll accept it. And A. Damn, you're going to make me be more precise. All right. We're at the end. Okay. Today, as we conclude the pink chapter, and as we begin now the approved text, I have to use this text, but I love the pink book because what I wanted to do was to help you understand how to persuade. Once now you've gotten how to persuade, now let's dig into the textbook to figure out how to understand and put the blocks together. How do you do it? How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do that? Selling is simply a trade in which you have to learn all of the techniques. That's what we're going to do starting a week from Wednesday. And all of you know that you can rent the book. I sent you a way for you to get a graphical interpretation of the book for 6 months or 5 months. And it ends something like on December 15th, and the book evaporates. It's an online version. If you want to save some money, do it that way. Today, I said to you, how can you control the situation in trying to persuade another? Because you have to have a way to be persuasive. So, it's not about how you feel, it's about what you think about. Apply 60-40, whether you have a high social or a high helping others motivation or not. Why? It enables you to deliver to them something that they need. When you do that, they will open up to you. And when you're successful doing that, you'll find more people that are likable. You'll attract those people into your life. Their life improves, your life improves. If you have any doubt, what book should they read, Ms. Hendricks? And?
I'm reading Think and Grow Rich. That one really helped.
Think and Grow Rich. It is the science. It's where a lot of this self-help came from. These ideas came from Napoleon Hill. If you've had any travail in your life, if you've had to trudge through the mud to get where you're going, now, that's a book that will help, that will give you more answers. It's also on my extra credit list. All right, guys, see you Wednesday for our Team 1's going to have their presentations. All the teams are up on Blackboard. No reading.
Do you know what it's just about ourselves. We have to prepare what's over. If you want to prepare what you're going to say about yourself, it'll be like a PowerPoint. I don't think you can edit.
Like, I don't need it.
You don't need hours?
No, well, that's the thing.
Explain the improved results.
Yeah, last night was kind of rough because I was up so late, so I was on it forever.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Were you just up late studying for good test?
Well, it is actually, tell me what it's all about.
Because in every single one of those examples, it was improving somebody's life and in turn improving yours. Whereas
615,
in,
975.
for example, D,
98.
I saw them improving in the recycling.
I think so.
I guess I did. Okay. Because I thought that one was the best answer. But I could see how they were true in the different examples.
Well, what I said is the most important principle, and you read down and you realize, my goodness, they're all equally important.
Okay.
That's what I want you to know.
Okay.
I have a question. Will group 2 also go on
Then very probably on either Wednesday or the next Monday, you can make your presentation, but just remind me on Friday.
Okay, okay. Oh, I will be here Friday.
Remind me on Wednesday.
Wednesday,
yes.
okay, I will do it. Thank you.
When are we going to do the introductions to ourselves? To the class, and we go back to
Start on Wednesday. Team 1 will be on Wednesday.
right. Also, what's the presentation? Right. Somebody just literally whispered to me. I was like, that's the introduction to just introduce yourself to the class that I'm watching, right? She said, no, we're doing a presentation on the team book. Okay.
No.
She really scared me. I was like, wait, we have a
No,
presentation.
they're,
So team 1, when you say team 1, we have like, everybody is just grouped together, but everybody's going individually.
Team 1 is, Aston. Team 1. Those are your team members. Team 1 will present.
Okay.
And team 1 is right there.
Yep.
Team 1 and 2 as a matter of fact.
Team 1 and 2. Okay. Okay, so all we're doing is just introducing ourselves as a class. That's it. Don't make a watch. All right. Have a good one.